What we are focusing on for today is comparing, ordering, and identifying fractions on a number line. So yesterday, or not yesterday, but yesterday and the day before on Monday, we kind of focused more on decimals. Today we're focusing on fractions. So when ordering and comparing fractions, the easiest way to compare a fraction is just to convert it into a decimal. You guys have a much easier time focusing on it as a decimal. Nihat, can you stop? Thank you. You don't need to be hitting yourself like that. Okay, when you are trying to compare one value to another, it's easier to compare them when they're in their decimal form. So I always tell people, just convert it into a decimal and look at it in that format. So 7/10. Now, yesterday, I wanted to make sure that you guys are aware of how we can go about typing in our fractions and then doing an easy conversion. We know that to convert, it's just numerator divided by denominator. However, you can type your fraction into your calculator. So we have 7/10, and I want to go ahead and convert it. Now notice that right now I've got that little flashing cursor inside of the box. I want to get out of that. I don't want to be inside of the fraction. Who knows how do we get out of the fraction so that I'm no longer in there? Jalen? Pressing one of the arrows. See, these little buttons right here, these are up, down, left, and right arrows. If you press to the right, or even press down, it doesn't matter, it gets you out of the actual fraction. So now our little flasher is outside. So we can actually go down to the very bottom, and if you guys all see at the bottom of your calculators, there's that double arrow. It's a white button, it's got double arrows. That's our conversion button. I really wish they had said conversion above it, but if you press that, those double arrows will come up. What this means is that it is able to go back and forth between fractions and decimals. So when you hit enter, it's going to give you your decimal answer. If I were to hit that conversion button again, it's going to go ahead and give it to me as a fraction. Hit it again and go back to the decimal. It keeps going back and forth. Every time you want to convert between a fraction and a decimal, you just need to hit that conversion button. Okay? And then hit enter if it needs you to enter it. Yes? Yeah, there's another way you can do it. You could just type in, so like if I wanted to go ahead and I've got my fraction here. If I have my fraction and I wanted to go ahead and convert it, there's a longer way you could go about it. You could hit the second button, which is that green button, and you'll see the word second is populated up there. And then right above this X10, not X10, right above this table button, you see F, and then those conversion arrows in D. That goes from fraction to decimal as well. But this is just a faster way of going through it. You can hit that one, it's just an automatic conversion. Okay? Now if you ever need to convert between a mixed number and an improper fraction, so let's say like we had the fraction 11/3, and I want it as a mixed number, then I can't hit that conversion button. That conversion button again is only going to give it to me as a decimal. It's only going to convert back and forth between fractions and decimals. But if I want to go from a mixed or an improper fraction to a mixed number, I can hit that second button, and then right up here, if you see in green, it's got the little fraction and then the conversion arrows and then a U in a fraction. That goes from fraction to mixed number. That U in fraction is a mixed number. So if you hit that, it's going to show up on your screen, and then you hit enter. There's your mixed number. So you're always able to do that as well. Okay? Now, with the Desmos online calculators, it's a little bit easier. You type in your fraction, and then you can just hit the little button off onto the right, and it'll give it to you as a decimal or go back and forth between fraction and decimal. It's really, really simple and easy. But on here, that's how you would use them. So, taking a look here, I just did 7/10. So 7/10 we said is going to convert to 0.7 or 0.7. So I'm going to go ahead and write 0.7. And then 3/5. 3/5 is going to be what? 0.6. Thank you, Brandon. So we've got 0.6. So now it's a lot easier to compare 0.7 and 0.6 to each other because we notice, hey, the very first value is the same, right? They both have a 0. They both have their decimal. So then we've got to go to the next number. Well, the next number is the next value that's different. So we're going to compare a 7 and a 6. Which one is bigger, 7 or 6? 7. 7 is bigger. So remember, when we do our signs, the mouth opens up to the bigger number, right? So in case you forgot, this symbol where it's pointing to the left, the mouth is opening to the right, that's our less than symbol. I'm just going to write less. The next symbol, that's our greater. So we've got less than, we've got greater than, and then of course we've got equal to. So we know that the 7 is bigger than the 6. So we would put 0.7 is greater than 0.6. We're going to have our greater than sign. Now for here, we're talking about negative numbers. So we're dealing with negative values. Now if I convert negative 1 over 3, that's going to come out to a repeated value. So I'm first going to start off by saying negative 0.33, and I'm going to stop there, and I'm going to just put a repeated sign above it, just to show it's going to keep going on and on and on. And then the same thing for here, negative 3 over 7, that's going to come out to a negative 0.75. Now remember, this time we're dealing with negative numbers. So for negative numbers, the bigger the number is, the smaller the value, right? The further away from 0 it is. The bigger the negative number is, the smaller the value is actually going to be. So which one of these is actually going to be bigger? Negative 0.3 repeated or negative 0.75? Noah? Very good. Negative 0.333. It keeps going on and on and on. That's going to be our bigger value. So we've got 8 greater than sign here as well. All right, and then we've got 1 and 1/2. So when we convert 1 and 1/2, that's going to become 1.5. And then we've got 1.456. So which one is going to be bigger, 1.5 or 1.456? 1.5. So a lot of people look at it and they go, but 5 is smaller than 456. But remember, when you're comparing, you just keep going down the line. You go, okay, they both have a 1, so that's the same. So then we go to the next digit. We go to the 5. So we're comparing a 5 to this 4, and 5 happens to be bigger. If you wanted, you could go, hey, this has got 3 numbers behind the decimal, so what can I add behind the 5 and it still stays the same, Addison? Zeros. I could add a couple of zeros, so then instead of 1.5, I could say it's 1.500, and I know 500 is bigger than 456. So there's different ways that you can go about ordering that and helping to make it simpler for you. Okay, so this is going to be a greater than sign as well. All right, so now labeling things on our number line so that we know what the value is going to be. So when you are looking at these values, you know, normally when we look at them, we're like, oh, this is 0, this is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. But if you notice, we've got a whole bunch of little markings in between 0 and 1 whole. So those markings represent fractional or decimal values. So you really want to make sure you're paying close attention to this, because this is a very easy way to find out what the fraction values are. So what I always tell students is start at 0 and count how many jumps does it take to get to the next whole number. So everybody look at your 0, and I want you to count from 0, take a jump, and keep taking jumps until you get to the 1. How many jumps does it take to get to that 1? Addison? 6 jumps, right? It takes us 6 jumps to be able to get there. So I can even label it. I can go, okay, from 0, I'm going to jump 1 time, 2 times, 3, 4, 5, and then 6 times. It takes me 6 jumps to be able to get from 0 to 1. So do you know what that means? That means that every one of these tally marks has a denominator of 6. So this is a 1 6. This next one is 2 6. then we have 3/6, then we have 4/6, 5/6, and then 6/6 is just one whole, isn't it? 6/6 is just one whole. And then it starts again. We would have 1/6, 2/6, 3/6, 4/6, and so on and so forth until we get to 2 wholes. And then it goes backwards as well, counting by 1/6. So we have a negative 1/6 and a negative 2/6, a negative 3/6, a negative 4/6, a negative 5/6, and then when we get to here, negative 6/6, it's negative 1 whole. And you just keep filling those in, for the rest of the table. Okay, so now that we have all these filled out, except for Nihat because he's just standing there, sitting, staring off. Okay, so now that we have all this filled out, we can go ahead and identify what each of these values are going to be. So we know that 0, everything to the right is a positive. We know from everything to the left is going to be a negative. So when I'm looking here, from 0 to 1 whole, all of this information right here does not have a mixed number. Everything for here, when we're going from 0 to 1 whole, there's no mixed number going on. It's just the actual fraction. So when I'm looking at C, C is at the value 3/6. And we can simplify 3/6. I could always go, okay, hey, this is 3/6, which would simplify to what? 1/2. Okay, so this would be 1/2 for C. But I'm looking at each of the spots and I'm identifying what it's going to relate to. Same thing for anything between 0. Can you guys stop talking? Anything between 0 and -1. Anything between 0 and -1, that's also going to be no mixed numbers, but it's a negative version of no mixed number. So we can write that this is no mixed numbers. That means that there's no whole number values whatsoever. Okay, so the value of B happens to be at negative 2/6, or if we simplify it, it would just be a negative 1/3. You could write it as negative 2/6, but if you want to simplify it, you'd have to simplify it to negative 1/3. Now, the reason why I wanted to make sure you guys understand that these portions are no mixed numbers is because once you pass the whole number, once I pass this spot for 1, I'm now going to have a mixed number, aren't I? What's the whole number portion going to be for that mixed number, though? If it's going to be a mixed number, it's going to have a whole number and a fraction. What's the whole number? 1. Until I get to a 2. Then once I pass the 2, the whole number is now going to be a 2. And then once I pass the 3, the whole number is going to then be a 3, and so on and so forth. So from this point on till wherever we go, this is going to be a mixed number where we have a 1 and then some number over 6. And then same thing in the reverse. From this point on, as we're moving, this is going to be a mixed number with negative 1 and then some number over 6. So we want to make sure that we understand once we pass those whole number marks, we now are in mixed number territory, where we do have a whole number portion, not just a fraction. Okay, so when we're taking a look at D, again, it's going to have a whole number of a 1 and then the 4/6, which could then simplify to 1 2/3. Okay, same thing for A. A is going to have a -1, and it's at 3/6, which would simplify to -1 and 1/2. And I'll write that stuff bigger here. So value of A is -1 and 1/2. We always want to make sure that our answers are in simplest form. The value for B, we said, was going to be at -1/3. The value for C was at +1/2. And then the value for D was at +1 2/3. Now, is every single time that we're looking at our graph, is it always going to be a denominator of 6? No, they're not always going to be a denominator of 6. Remember, you have to count to find out what the denominator is going to be. So when we're looking here, remember I said start at 0 and count how many jumps it takes to get to the next whole number. So starting at 0, how many jumps is it going to take for us to get to the 1? Rajay? 3 jumps, right? So that means all of these tallies are a fraction with a denominator of 3. This is going to be 1/3. This is going to be 2/3. This is going to be 3/3, but again, 3/3 equals 1 whole. 3/3 is going to equal 1 whole. And then it's going to start again. We're going to have 1/3 and 2/3. And then we get to 2 whole. Then we've got 1/3 and 2/3. Then we get to 3 whole, and so on and so forth. And then working backwards, you have the negatives. -1/3, -2/3, -1 whole. -1/3, -2/3, -2 whole. -1/3, -2/3, -3 whole. And then -1/3 again. Okay, so taking a look here, we now can go and take a look at what each of these components are going to be. Okay, so again, from 0 all the way to the 1, this is going to be no mixed number whatsoever. And in fact, from -1 to 0, none of these are going to be mixed numbers whatsoever. These are no mixed numbers. Okay? Some of them are positive, some of them are negative, but there's no mixed numbers whatsoever going on in this range, from -1 to 1. Then from 1 to 2, we do have a mixed number. The whole number portion is going to be 1, and then some number over 3. Okay, same thing for here. Going from -1 to a -2, that's going to have a mixed number where it's -1 and then some number over 3. I want you to go ahead and sit over at this table from now on. Camila, at this table right here. The one right back here that I'm pointing to. Sit over there, face away from Nihat. Sophia, what table number is next to you? Sit at 12. Sit at 12. Thank you. That's your new table. Okay, anything beyond the 2, when we go from 2 up to the 3, that's going to now have what whole number? What whole number is this mixed number going to have now? Not a 3, a 2. If we're moving past the 2, but we're before the 3, it's going to have a whole number of a 2, and then some fraction over 3. Same thing in the reverse. From -2 all the way up till we get to -3, these are going to have -2 and some fraction over 3. Okay, then anything beyond the 3, that's going to have a 3 and a fraction over 3. Or a negative 3 and a fraction over 3. Okay, so we're looking at how we're breaking everything up. Every time we get to a new whole number, we have a new value for our mixed number. Every time we get to a new one, it's a new value for the mixed number. Okay, so taking a look here, let's start with A. Starting at A is going to be what value? When we're looking at A, first of all, does A have a whole number to it? Yeah, what's the whole number going to be? Negative 1. It has a whole number to it. Does it have a fraction to it? What's the fraction? Negative 2/3, right? Do I have to write the negative sign again? No. Once I wrote the negative sign, I'm good. So A is at a negative 1 and 2/3, right? It's at negative 1 and 2/3. Okay, let's take a look at B. B is located right here. Does B have a whole number portion to it? No, right? There's no mixed numbers. There's no whole number portion to B. So B is going to be just a fraction. What is the fraction? Negative 1/3. Taking a look here at C. C is located here. Does C have a whole number portion? What is the whole number portion? A 1, right? It's in this range. It's got a 1. And what's the fraction portion? 1/3. If we look where it's above the 1/3. Here's where D is located. What is D's whole number portion? A 3, right? It's in the 3 range. What's its fraction? Ooh, it's right here. 1/3. 1/3. Okay, what I want you guys to do now, since we just went over 2 examples of how to work this out, I want you guys to do the exact same thing. I want you to identify what are each of these lines being counted by for a fraction. I want you to split it up into its parts. What parts are going to be considered to have no mixed numbers? What parts will be mixed numbers? And then identify the value of A, B, C, and D. Make sure that you have those values in simplest form, but you are doing this on your own independently now.